Good morning, dear students. Welcome to P.N.AMERSEY e-learning classes. Do you know that about two-thirds of the earth is covered with water? Most of this water is in oceans and seas. You can see figure 14.3. Oceans cover a major part of the earth. The water in the oceans and seas have many salts dissolved in it. The water is saline, so it is not fit for drinking and other domestic, agricultural and industrial needs. You might have heard the famous lines of the poem Rime of the Ancient Mariner written by St. Coleridge in 1798. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Here, the poet has described the plight of sailors on a ship lost in the ocean. Yet, oceans play an important role in supplying the water that we use. Do you find this surprising? After all, the water that we use is not salty. Many of us live in places far away from the oceans. Does the water supply in these places also depend on the oceans? How does the ocean water reach ponds, lakes, rivers, and wells which supply us water? How come the water from these sources is not saline anymore? This is where the water cycle comes in. 14.3 Water cycle. Disappearing trick of water. How many times have you noticed that water spilled on a floor dries up after some time? The water seems to disappear. Similarly, water disappears from wet clothes as they dry up. Figure 14.4 Water from wet clothes, rooftops, and a few other places also disappears after the rains. Where does this water go? Do you remember Activity 6 in Chapter 5, in which water with salt dissolved in it was heated? What did we find? The water evaporated and the salt was left behind. This activity gives us an idea that on heating, water changes into its vapor. We also realize from this activity that water vapor does not carry away the salt with it. Water vapors, so formed, become a part of the air and cannot usually be seen. We also found that heating is essential to convert water into its vapor. However, we have seen that water changes into vapor also from the fields, roads, rooftops, and other land areas. We also discussed in Chapter 5 that to obtain salt, water from the sea is left in shallow pits to let the water evaporate. From where does this water get the heat it needs to evaporate? Let us find out in Activity 2. Take two similar plates, place one of the plates in sunlight and keep the other under shade. Now pour equal amount of water in each of the plates. You can see figure 14.5 evaporation of water in sunlight and in shade. You can use a cap of a bottle to measure water. Make sure that water does not spill over. Observe the two plates after every 15 minutes. Does the water seem to disappear? Does the water seem to disappear? From which plate does it disappears first? What is the source of heat for this evaporation? During the daytime, sunlight falls on the water in oceans, rivers, lakes, and ponds. The fields and the other land areas also receive sunlight. As a result, water from all these places continuously changes into vapor. However, the salt dissolved in the water are left behind. In Activity 2, did you find that water also disappeared from the plate kept in it? shade, though it could have taken more time. Does the heat from the sunlight reach here? Yes, during the daytime, all the air surrounding us gets heated. This warm air provides heat for evaporation of water in the shade. Thus, evaporation takes place from all open surfaces of water. As a result, water vapor gets continuously added to air. However, evaporation of water is a slow process. That is why we rarely notice its loss from a bucket full of water. In sunlight, evaporation takes place faster. On heating water on a burner, its evaporation takes place even faster. Is there any other process through which water vapor gets transferred into air? Thank you, dear students.